The Counterfeit Climax, Confronting the Issues that Sabotage Sex, Romance, and Relationships, written and narrated by Dave and Ashley Willis. Introduction: Defining the Counterfeit Climax. Ernest Hemingway was one of the most gifted and fascinating personalities of the 20th century. He lived a life of unbelievable adventure, and he experienced nearly every form of success the world has to offer. But he never found long-term success in his relationships. His well-funded adventures were a diversion from his ongoing relationship drama, but he never seemed to find real happiness. Instead, he adopted a pessimistic view of happiness and once famously said, "Happiness among intelligent people is the rarest thing on earth." On a cruise ship stop in Key West, Florida many years ago, we had the opportunity to visit and tour his home, which is perpetually preserved as a museum to his life and legacy. As part of the tour, the guide pointed out what he referred to as the Wall of Wives. It was a section of portraits and photographs showing the many women who had been romantically involved with Hemingway over the years. Our guide joked about the number of women on the wall, but his jokes seemed to display his own respect for Hemingway's sexual prowess more than an acknowledgement of his dysfunctional lifestyle. The guide pointed to the ladies' pictures and one by one told us the short version of each relationship. Some of these women had been wives, some had been girlfriends, some had been mistresses, some had been a quick dalliance, while others had been fairly long relationships. One thing they all had in common: they all ended. He had lived for pleasure, only to find that pleasure without love becomes a prison. Tragically, Hemingway took his own life and died a single man.
As we learned more of his life story and started to piece together the broken track record of these relationships, we saw some of the same broken mindsets in Hemingway that we see throughout our modern culture. Like millions of others, Hemingway believed in a counterfeit version of love, and his sex life was a continuous pursuit of counterfeit climaxes. First off, he seemed addicted to the rush of the early stages of a relationship. But he had little interest in the ongoing work every relationship requires. Once the newness wore off, he found himself feeling bored or trapped. Once he found himself feeling bored or trapped, he would escape. Sometimes those escapes would be through a breakup, but often the relationship would continue limping along, and he'd frequently escape through an affair, his work, or a hobby. He became an avid deep-sea fisherman, a hobby that took him away from home for long stretches of time. We wonder if it was his love for fish or his desire to avoid the drama at home that kept him on his boat so often. He also found more solace in relationships with his pets, cats specifically.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?